Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. You know, each and every week I try to bring people from across the country to talk to me about things we could do right here in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
Puerto Rico celebrates the holidays the longest of anywhere in the world, up until Three Kings Day at the end of January. So if you like to, keep your Christmas decorations up into the new year, you'll fit right at home here.
Well, Dan, I'm very proud to announce that MotorTrend's 2025 Car of the Year is...
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Heart disease might be America's top killer, but it's also largely preventable. Well, that's with the right steps. To help us understand how we can take a little better care of our hearts, I'm joined by Katherine Wilemon, founder of Family Heart Foundation, and Dr. Larry Sperling, their chief medical officer. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Sperling, how big of an impact does heart disease have in this country?
This is a really important question, Dan. Heart disease is, you said might be, but heart disease is the major cause of death in our nation. And most Americans are at risk for heart disease and stroke. In fact, we know that every 33 seconds, an American will die of heart disease. So during our 4 or 5 minutes together, this means 8 to 10 Americans will succumb of the major cause of death in our country. Now, I'm a preventive cardiologist, and I've dedicated my career to heart disease prevention. Heart disease runs in my family as well, like most American families, but we know that 80% or more of heart-related events are preventable, and we can begin prevention with awareness, and that's awareness of our heart disease risk factors.
So what practical steps can people take to try to lower the risk?
Each and every one of us can take a step forward. And the first step is awareness. That's awareness of our heart disease risk factors. Today, we're going to focus on 2 of these, the LDL cholesterol. And by lowering our LDL, we can directly lower our heart-related risk. The other risk factor is called lipoprotein little a, or Lp(a). And this is a genetic risk factor present in 1 out of every 5 people worldwide. Most people are completely unaware of their Lp(a) levels. Lp(a), we call it the triple threat. It increases inflammation, cholesterol buildup in the arteries, and the risk for blood clotting. Now, the good news is for your listeners that a simple blood test can tell us our LDL and our Lp(a), and this is actionable information in partnership with your clinician or clinical team.
And Katherine, how does the Family Heart Foundation support those at risk for heart disease?
So we're available in many ways. We're a research and advocacy organization, and people can always reach out to us for help navigating anything in their healthcare journey. But one of the very specific things that we recently launched that I think will have a big impact is a free screening program. We know that most people are not knowledgeable about what their LDL cholesterol level is and what it should be to keep them safe. So they need to have an informed conversation with their clinical team and take the next steps. There's a lot they can do to lower their LDL cholesterol. We also know that even though lipoprotein little a or Lp little a is so common, about 20% of the US population is impacted, that less than 5% have ever even been screened for it. So there is almost no knowledge on the part of the public or the clinical teams about someone's level of Lp little a and the risk that it poses to them. So we're offering free screening and support to help people to become empowered and to understand their risks.
And Katherine, your personal story it's fairly incredible. Can you share how it inspired your work?
So at the age of 39, I had a heart attack, and it was a significant heart attack, and I'm very lucky to be here. And it took me even several years after that event to get a clear diagnosis of the fact that I have 2 genetic conditions. One is called familial hypercholesterolemia, which causes very high LDL cholesterol levels from birth. And the other one is the elevated lipoprotein little a, which is also from birth because it's primarily genetically determined. And that's what drove my premature cardiovascular disease And I decided to dedicate my life to trying to bring about change sooner for people because time is of the essence. We need to understand someone's risk early to be able to actually prevent cardiovascular disease.
And we're running out of time, but where can people go for more information or some of these resources?
So people can go to familyheart.org to learn more, or they can go to cholesterolconnect.org to order a free screening test. Dr.
Sperling, Katherine Wilemon, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Dan.
Cybersecurity feels like a never-ending battle these days. Experian's latest data breach industry forecast sheds light on some surprising trends like, teen hackers, AI-driven cyber attacks, and even employees becoming potential threats. So here to break it all down and share how we can stay protected is Michael Bruemmer, Vice President at Experian. Michael, thanks for joining us again. How are you, my friend?
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm very glad to be with you.
All right. So the data breach industry forecast has some surprising predictions. What do you think stood out most this year?
A couple of my favorites are first, the enemy from within. 51% of companies have insider fraud, and with companies supplying AI and AI training to those employees, you're just supercharging those fraudsters that want to do something bad inside the company even more. The second one I like is the it smells like a teen, because the FBI says now that the average age of a teenage hacker is 19 versus 37 years old for all crime. And with a vast majority of the teens understanding and knowing how to use AI and using it regularly, they are also being supercharged in their effort. And we've also found that 3 big gangs, Anonymous, Scattered Spider, and Lapsus, are also run by teenagers.
And how common is that? And how do they find themselves getting involved?
Well, whether you're in a gaming platform, whether you're in an internet chat room, you're on the dark web, teens are going out there. And so there's lots of an opportunity for nation states and gangs to recruit these teens into doing something nefarious. It's also, compared to any other way to make money, it is a lot of money in a short period of time. They can use their skills, they're tech savvy, and they can avoid getting caught.
And you mentioned that internal threats are just becoming a bigger issue. Why do you think employees are now kind of feel or seen as this major risk?
Well, given the fact that elevated user credentials are a way for hackers to access the inside of a company, there are certain people within that company that want to commit fraud and can easily pass on those credentials. Also, with AI, it's harder to discover where some of the threats are coming from, especially from inside the firewall. So it makes it almost the perfect environment. That combined with the fact that 41% of C-suite members don't understand all the risks of AI, and it gives a great opportunity for those insiders to operate without detection.
So how is AI kind of changing the landscape for both not just the attackers, but also the defenders?
Well, AI is not a substitute. It's a resource to take existing scams, deepfakes, malware, and denial of service attacks and supercharge them so that the hackers have been proven most recently to be able to use AI more effectively to than defenders, and they're outrunning them in every sector.
Gotcha. Michael Bruemmer, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information and find more about this forecast and ways that we can protect our data?
At Experian.com, you can find not only consumer tips, what to do, in fact, if you feel like you might be suffering identity theft, and as well as the rest of the 2025 predictions.
Michael Bruemmer, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Dan.
Are you dreaming of a winter getaway? Puerto Rico might be your next destination. With its unique blend of history, culture, and breathtaking natural beauty, all without needing a passport. It's an island like no other. So joining us today is Brian Kelly, founder of thepointsguy.com, to share why Puerto Rico is the ultimate escape this winter. Brian, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
All right. We all know Puerto Rico has kind of a rich history, a vibrant culture. Can you give us a quick overview of why you think it makes it special?
Yeah, I've been coming. I come to Puerto Rico at least once a year. For me, it checks all the boxes. It's got over 500 years of history in Old San Juan. So if you love architecture, there's so many different things to do around the island. Yes, it's nice to go to the beach and unwind, and you can do that here. But Puerto Rico is so much more than that. There's beautiful rainforests. You can go to bioluminescent bays. And frankly, there's just so much to do. And because it's a part of the United States, from the minute that you land, your US phone plan works. There's no immigration. And, I was traveling with my 2-year-old here, and I was out of the airport in 6 minutes, no line. So the ease of it all is really just hard to beat.
And the Caribbean has a bunch of great destinations. What do you think sets Puerto Rico apart from the rest?
Yeah, Puerto Rico's interesting is that you are part of the island when you're here. Unlike, a lot of destinations where you go, you stay at that resort, you have your vacation, and then you leave. You don't really get to experience the culture. In Puerto Rico, they actually have a campaign called Live Boricua, where they encourage their tourists to ingrain in the local communities. It is perfectly safe. You can drive around the entire island and experience local communities where you can go dancing and take classes. And by the way, eat a lot of amazing food. Puerto Rico has multiple James Beard award-winning chefs, a lot of farm to table, so really fresh food. So if you're looking for that really warm, nice winter getaway that's safe, easy, and with a lot of depth, Puerto Rico simply can't be beat.
And for travelers looking for something a little more exciting, what kind of adventures do you think they can find on this island?
Oh yeah, I'm an adventure travel guy. So my last trip here, I did a tour all around the island, hiking and going to waterfalls. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to El Yunque National Park to go hiking. And one of my most epic trips here, I went to the little island of Vieques, and they have bioluminescent bays that glow at night. And I went kayaking. So there are a lot of different memorable experiences. If you love the great outdoors, Puerto Rico just has so much to offer.
And you're the go-to guy when it comes to points and miles. What do you think is the smartest way to use them for a trip to Puerto Rico?
Yeah. So, first of all, luckily Puerto Rico is really inexpensive. There's a lot. If you're flexible on your dates, I was just looking up. So Google Flights is how I like to search for cheap flights. I was checking Tampa to San Juan. It's under 3 hours. And there were dates with $55 one-way nonstop flights this January. And by the way, if you're a person who loves to celebrate the holidays, Puerto Rico celebrates the holidays the longest of anywhere in the world, up until Three Kings Day at the end of January. So if you like to, keep your Christmas decorations up into the new year, you'll fit right at home here. But also if you've got hotel points, there are a lot of beautiful Marriott properties. The Ritz-Carlton Dorado Reserve is one of the nicest hotels in the Caribbean. You can use your points. Hilton has a lot of great properties, Wyndham. So to anyone with points out there, use them on a vacation this winter, and Puerto Rico is a great destination for burning those points.
Brian Kelly, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can our viewers go to plan their trip to Puerto Rico or learn more?
Yeah, so discoverpuertorico.com has a ton of great resources and ideas on how to explore the island. And to get the most out of your frequent flyer miles, make sure you go to thepointsguy.com.
Brian Kelly, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Supporting small businesses is more than a holiday gesture. It's a vital step in helping communities rebuild after the devastating hurricanes. So today, we are joined by Michael Carney, president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and Jennifer Schuyler, Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at American Express. They're here to share how we can make a meaningful difference, including a grant program that's giving small businesses a lifeline to recover, rebuild, and even thrive. Welcome to the show, Michael and Jennifer. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Michael, can you tell us about what you've been seeing on the ground in terms of the impact of the devastation caused by these hurricanes?
First of all, I want to say that your use of the word thrive is perfect, because what we want to see is communities thrive, and communities thrive when small businesses are doing well. I was down in Western North Carolina in October, and I saw just how much of a threat this storm posed to the ability of these communities and the small businesses there to thrive. Roads washed away, people who didn't have enough electricity, water, and small businesses that were struggling to keep their doors open, yet going above and beyond to feed the community.
So, Michael, how can we support our local communities this holiday season?
Well, I think that the easiest thing that every one of us can do is ensure that you're shopping small when you can, shopping in the community, because we believe that small businesses are a critical tool of building resilience at the community level. If you have thriving small businesses, you have thriving communities. If you're in one of the 7 states that was hardest hit by hurricanes Helene and Milton, you can apply for support. You can go out of your way to shop remotely at small businesses that might have shifted to online. But ultimately, every person can do something to improve resilience and to ensure that our small businesses are thriving.
And Jennifer, what are American Express and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation doing to help small businesses recover from the hurricanes?
Yeah, so for this Small Business Saturday, we actually launched a grant program where we were supporting 1,000 small businesses with grants of $5,000 each for a total of $5 million going towards that first wave of small businesses. And as part of that commitment, we also had a pledge where for every transaction, $1 from that purchase went to an additional wave of support to support small businesses across the Southeast. So today, we're actually announcing an additional $5 million commitment to support 1,000 small businesses with grants of $5,000 each across the Southeast. But I would just reinforce what Michael said, which is, we do view Small Business Saturday as a year-round commitment to get out there and shop small. I know firsthand a lot of businesses in the Tampa area and Sarasota area. I spend a lot of time down there. We're impacted by these storms. So just, if you're traveling or shopping online, just please get out there and support the small businesses impacted by hurricanes Milton and Helene.
So what type of organizations qualify for the Small Business Hurricane Recovery Grant Program?
Yeah, so if you are one of the businesses across these states in a disaster declared county, you are eligible to apply for these grants.
All right. So, Michael, where can we go for more information or for small businesses to be able to apply for these?
So it's a really simple process. You go to uschamberfoundation.org, and eligible small businesses can submit an application. It'll take just a couple of minutes. And if you're not in one of those communities, you can still learn what your small business can do to ensure that it is as resilient as possible.
Jennifer Schuyler, Michael Carney, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Today, we're thrilled to be the first to reveal MotorTrend's Car of the Year for 2025. This is one of the most prestigious awards in the automotive world. And we've got Miguel Cortina, editor at MotorTrend, here to kind of break the big news. Plus, he's sharing tips on how you can drive away with this with holiday savings. Miguel.
Great morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. This is kind of the moment we've been waiting for. What is MotorTrend's 2025 Car of the Year, and why do you think it won?
Well, Dan, I'm very proud to announce that MotorTrend's 2025 Car of the Year is the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. This is a fantastic luxury sedan, super cool. I mean, just look at it. It's super pristine, right? It stands out for its modern and contemporary design. Really, every angle you look at it, it stands out by luxury. I mean, it doesn't matter from where you look at it, whether it's parked, whether it's on the road. It's really a luxury sedan that really stands out. And then you have this beautiful interior with a cabin that's very comfortable. And then it has this hyper screen, this screen that extends from basically the entire length of the dashboard, really giving every passenger a very amazing and a very cool experience. In terms of power, it has a 6-cylinder engine with both a turbo and a hybrid. So it has 375 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, lots of power, lots of beat right off the bat. And that's why it's MotorTrend's 2025 Car of the Year.
As someone who lives and breathes cars, what stood out to you personally about this year's winner?
I have to tell you, the ride quality is fantastic. I mean, You know, here in LA and in many parts of the country, the roads are not very well maintained. And here, it doesn't matter if you drive over bumps, over ruts, over broken pavement, the ride is going to be buttery smooth. It's going to be comfortable, and it's going to treat every occupant like they're riding something special. So that, to me, that's my personal future. But looking at it, what do you think? What's yours?
I think I like the sleek lines and design style on that. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, 2025 is rolling around and some of the 2024s are leaving. Looking forward to a new vehicle. How can someone take advantage of like these new holiday auto deals? Is it better to shop for last year's at this time of the year, or kind of even jump ahead to some of the new 2025 models?
No, yeah, you're right. There's some lots, some dealers that have a lot of cars from 2024 that are trying to get rid of those, and those most likely are on some sort of special, some sort of deal right now. This is a great time to be buying a car. Interest rates are coming down, and also our Buyer's Guide team puts up together a great information on our website. So if you head over to motortrend.com/cars, you're going to see all of that information online. You can type by the car, the model you're looking for. You can look at our listings, like you see on screen here, MotorTrend Marketplace. We have both used and new cars. And then you can look by segments too. So really, regardless of if you're not sure what car to get, all of that information is available online at motortrend.com.
So what should car buyers keep in mind when considering the 2025 lineup?
You know, it kind of like depends what they're looking for, right? If they want a family car, if they want a sporty car, if they want a hybrid, an electric, all of that information, I think, is what they have to assess first. And MotorTrend can help you with that. We have a car match tool also on our website where you can do a questionnaire, and we kind of help you decide on what car might be best for you. So it kind of like depends. Everybody's in everybody's in the market for different cars, and so it really, we have a lot of models out there, and so it's a very unique and very special decision. So it's up to every buyer.
Miguel, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can people go for more information and even about MotorTrend's Car of the Year?
Yeah, everything on the E-Class is available at motortrend.com. We also announced recently our SUV of the year, the Lincoln Nautilus. And then next week, we have the Truck of the Year announcement. I can't tell you anything about it yet, except that it will be pretty big.
I hope to see you there. All right, man. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Dan. Great to talking to you.
Millions of Americans experience occasional gut issues regularly. When diet, exercise, and good sleep are not enough to keep digestive issues at bay, some folks may need some extra help to relieve occasional stomach upsets and restore digestive function. Here's Angela King with more on a new digestive relief supplement that might help.
If you're experiencing occasional digestive symptoms, you're not alone. Millions of Americans experience occasional gut issues that can disrupt daily life. Celebrity chef Kristen Kish says she realizes many people don't fully enjoy their food because of occasional digestive issues.
Food is something that I have always called my love language, but I also understand that food means taking care of people. It's about digestive health and overall health. What better way for me is to use food also as something that can take care of you. It's been a journey.
Sometimes people need extra support to help relieve occasional stomach upsets and help restore digestive function.
Iberogast is a 6-herb blend powered by nature and backed by science, providing relief from occasional digestive symptoms. So I love that Iberogast is there for those seeking relief so they may get back to sharing delicious food and good times with loved ones.
To learn more, visit Iberogast.com.
Joining us live from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange is Michael Reinking, CFA, Senior Market Strategist for the New York Stock Exchange. He's here to walk us through the biggest market moments of 2024 and offer some expert insights in what we should be expecting or keeping an eye on as we head into the new year of 2025. Michael, it's great to have you on today. How are you?
Hi, great, Dan. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and hopefully the first of many.
All right, so looking back on 2024, what would you say were the most defining moments for the financial markets, and what kind of made them so impactful?
Yeah, so when I look back at 2024, the thing that stands out to me the most is really the strength that we've seen in financial markets. This is the second consecutive year where major U.S. indices were up double digits. And when you look at that S&P 500, that benchmark index that your audience is investing in and kind of using in their 401ks, that index was up over 20% for consecutive years for the first time since the mid-1990s. Right, and that's kind of really, there's really an interesting parallel between the current environment and what we had seen back then, and kind of the technological revolution, is kind of the one factor that was apparent in both time periods. Right, so there were four things that I think helped to drive markets, in the last year. First, that AI revolution that I just was talking about. Right, we've seen kind of capital spending on technology infrastructure in data centers, right? And that's really helped to create jobs around this country, help the economic activity remain very resilient. So we've seen kind of the labor market remain strong, the consumer continues to spend, and that is coming despite the fact that we're coming off of a 2-year period where the Federal Reserve was raising rates in the most aggressive fashion that we've seen, kind of going back to the 1980s. Now, they have started to pivot. They've been cutting rates starting in September. They've cut rates by 75 basis points, right? And they're doing that in an economic environment that remains strong, right? So that they're helping to preserve that environment. And that's going to help Main Street as you start to see interest rates being charged on mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, all starting to move lower. And then lastly, the last big kind of catalyst of 2024 happened in November, right, as we had the election, and we've removed that uncertainty, and we're now really starting to see some optimism building, that we're heading into a pro-growth, business-friendly environment, and that sets us up well heading into 2025.
So are there any industries or sectors that stood out this year, and are there any trends or players you kind of recommend us keeping an eye on in 2025?
Yeah, so I think when you look back at 2024, the stocks that are kind of associated with AI and the beneficiaries of that AI spending, kind of think of the picks and shovels of that industry. So your semiconductors or GPUs or companies making server stacks, they were kind of the big beneficiaries. We've started to see that trade begin to evolve. We're starting to see utility companies that are have been trading well with the expectation of increased power demand kind of around the country as we move forward. And then another industry that I think is really exciting heading into next year are the financials, right? As there's this expectation that the regulatory backdrop is going to improve. We could start to see a wave of M&A activity that we haven't seen in multiple years. And then for your audience, most importantly and excitingly is that we could potentially start to see, the IPO environment start to pick back up, which will give kind of that the public the opportunity to start to invest in some of these new companies and new ideas and technology. And from our seat here at the New York Stock Exchange, being able to work with those entrepreneurs and innovators and business leaders to raise capital to go out and change the world is a really exciting place to be.
Michael Reinking, thanks for joining me this morning.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the holidays.
And that's it for Rise Unwind TV. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, go look us up, Rise Unwind TV. Go to our website, riseunwindtv.com, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is at Rise Unwind TV. And until next week, that was, you heard it, Rise and Unwind TV.